Give us your thoughts on all of these various creatures of various distorted form that appear throughout antiquity.
The idea behind it all is to cross the species, which is a direct confrontation against the created boundaries that the God of Genesis said that he created this, everything after its likeness and kind, and said it is good. The idea of trans-species mixing, not only forbidden by God himself, brought about the judgment upon the earth, killing everything and everyone with the exception of 8 people. People don't believe in Noah's flood. But even prior to Noah's flood, the prophet Jeremiah spoke of another flood that predated the creation of mankind on an earth that was in rebellion. Even the myths of Atlantis, by the way, I don't believe they were just not real places. Atlantis was real. Lemuria was real. Mir was real. Shangri-La. All of these different mythical places have a lot of things in common with the face of the human on a sheep. It's at that point that the God, not a demigod, not a demon masquerading who wants to be God, not Lucifer, but they made themselves an image that they could create and they could be on the same level as God, and they made these horrific creatures, whether they were satyrs, whether they were lion men. In the book of Giants, it said that the fallen angels literally commingled, call it DNA, which obviously it was. They absolutely distorted, perverted, manipulated the DNA of the animals. The pre-Adamic civilization of angels and other beings not created in the image of likeness of God were brought forth, and they rebelled. The Golden Age, if you will, Manetto's Table of Kings, I'm going to throw some stuff out there, the Egyptian antiquity records, they go back tens of thousands of years. The map of the Creator, which is 500,000 years old. The Book of Giants, the word book is a little misleading there because it's fragments, but it's all about the fallen angels messing with every form of animal. These things were messing around with the DNA, crossbreeding everything, and that's where the monsters of antiquity come in. That's where all the strange stuff comes in. That's where all the giant centipedes, millipedes, insects, birds, dinosaurs, all this stuff come in. And in my opinion, we're going to be there again. That's why it took superheroes / half men, half God, in some cases of mythology, to conquer these things. And so when I talk about genetic Armageddon, today's technology producing tomorrow's monsters, we ain't seen anything yet. And what the boys in the black lab coats, when I say black, I want to make this clear, that's the secret laboratories of the world that do such horrific experiments that Mengele would be the patron saint of these guys. In other words, they're that sick. We're about ready to be sacrificed. And when I say sacrificed, I'm talking on the altar of a supernaturally evil plan to destroy mankind in its entirety. This is why all the secret science programs, the vaccinations, the pharmaceuticals, all of the different plans to control and destroy people are on an accelerated basis. The goal is not to help humanity be all we can be, to borrow the Army's term, but rather to place those of us living now with a very different creature, to basically create a race of gods, little g's, which will then toss out the old humans, that's you and I, John, who will no longer be useful to have around except perhaps as amusing slaves. If anything, the old-style human beings will be an irritation or a reminder of what the transhumanists once were. You see, you remember the movie, obviously, The Terminator. Remember how Skynet becomes the controlling overlord and self-replicating machines continue to destroy mankind?
Sure.
It's the same thing. It's kind of like CERN and the Stargates out there, and most people don't understand what the purpose of Stargates are. The reason history repeats itself is because men don't learn from their past mistakes, and they become apathetic and indifferent, and in apathy and indifference, you offer yourself up for slaughter. God had the children of Israel slay every man, woman, and child that when they went into the promised land. that at a certain point everything was corrupt, meaning everything was corrupt, up until the time of Noah. That means when the Bible, the Old Testament says Noah was perfect in his generation, that doesn't mean he was morally perfect. We all know that wasn't the case.
True.
The point is that he was the only untampered with genetic stock. And so it said that God was so grieved that he had made man that it repented him. So the thing is that God builds an ark for Noah and his family. So when you look at that, like God destroyed all the men, women, and children, or certain Israelites were commanded to do that, it wasn't because God is the ultimate meanie, it's because they were all corrupt. And had he not given that command and order, there'd be no seed of his creation left. Why did Satan have some of his fallen angels intermarry with human women? Why? Why bother? The reason for this can be understood by investigating the greater context of Genesis. In Genesis 3:15, the first messianic prophecy is recorded. The prophecy declared that the Messiah would be the seed of the woman, and this seed would crush the head of Satan. What is happening in Genesis 6:1-4 is a satanic attempt to corrupt the seed of the woman by having some of his angels take on human form. And I might answer the critics too, that was both before the flood and after the flood. By the way, angels always appear as young males when they take on the human form and intermarry with humankind to try and corrupt the seed. Therefore, the events of Genesis 6:1-4 were a satanic attempt to cancel out the prophecy of Genesis 3:15.
The email says he is so right. Ask him about the bloodline of Satan on earth. The demons are here through the international bankers, the Rothschild, the Rothschild.
The whole bloodline issue it goes right back to Genesis 3:15, because Satan does have a seed, and that seed he's injected himself into the human race, and obviously wants to propagate his offspring from their inculcation as children. They're taught that Lucifer is the light bringer, okay? Matches used to be called Lucifers. The light bringer that is going to bring mankind out of his bondage to the living God, and that they believe that literally they've been given the divine bloodline. They believe that the control of money, Amsel Rothschild made the statement, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who writes its laws." Then you immediately contrast that with Jesus' words, "The love of money is the root of all evil." What are we seeing right now, John, in the control of money? We are seeing the absolute subjugation, destruction, and the end to America's middle class. These people believe that they are the God-like ones, okay? I will be like the Most High God. They are their father, the devil. And they openly worship Lucifer. And here's something that I'm not injecting this. I mean, some of these guys who are fabulous researchers have gone in and can show the bloodlines all the way back. Nowhere in the Holy Bible does it maintain in any way, shape, or form that Jesus had any offspring physically. He did not have sex with Mary Magdalene and produce a race, if you will, of co-Jesuses throughout earth. But unless someone understands the history, they don't understand that to control the money is to control life. And these guys are now choking the very life. These guys, mean the international bankers, they are throwing the world into a global economic meltdown in order to bring about the New World Order under Lucifer, which George Bush Sr. referred to, 236 times in his last year of office? The international bankers claim to be literally the not only the light bringers, but the controllers of the destiny of mankind. They want the planet rid of 5.5 billion people, and that should make about 5.5 billion people rather upset. The realm of the jinn in Muslim theology and the end times is very present in their beliefs. Like I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden in the bottle. Where did the promise of something that had been locked up coming forth, or the words abracadabra, the night hag, Lilith the night hag? Isn't it interesting that a night hag who basically lures a man to have sex and then devours him, literally eats him up as in a cannibal fashion, is that legend would be reappearing in the desert Southwest amongst the Native Americans. Remember when we used to be told about the moon not having any water and Mars not having any life? There is a total blackout to the mainstream of what's really taking place in space, what we really know about the planets. If the former head of Skunkworks, which is a top-secret governmental development initial program that was under Lockheed, basically came up with a statement, Bud Rich at his retirement dinner, if the American people knew what we've done, that we've been beyond the stars, in essence, he said they'd be furious. When people look at the ending of the space shuttles, they think, oh, woe is us. It's a smart move to save money because we're so far beyond all that. We're hearing all the talk about Elenin and Planet X being the 10th planet, Nibiru, Gabriel's Fist. All of this stuff is classified under national security. Listen, the United States is to be divided up in 10 regions, okay? And they actually, you can go on and look up 10 FEMA regions. You know, it's a Hegelian dialectic. Hegelian dialectic is simply this. You create the problem, you provide the solution, and by providing the solution, you bring about the desired result. No clearer Hegelian poster child could be defined in the Patriot Act. The global chaos that the Illuminati demands. There is a supernatural evil hierarchy controlling the underlings, which are an earthly hierarchy, who have willingly given their power unto the beast, who have yielded that which God created them with. They have yielded, given their power over to Satan. May I give you what a four-star general said?
Sure, absolutely.
The weapons are thousands of years in advance because all we do is try and control the technology that existed in the past. They have a history in the Mahabharata and a lot of their Vedic texts of wars that are absolutely right out of the future. Zacharias Sitchin wrote a lot about, wars between God and men, but the ancient Vimana, the flying machines, the high-energy weapons, some of their statements, weapons with the power of 10,000 suns. We're talking about ancient technology that is so far advanced, and in a lot of ways it's nothing more than angel technology, because this is what's hard for people to understand. They accept Hollywood's demons as being the brilliance of fallen angels. Fallen angels don't usually possess human beings. A demon is a disembodied spirit. The Book of Giants and the Book of Enoch teach that the demons were the spirits of the giants who were killed. So they have supernatural intelligence, they have supernatural understanding. Believe me, they know history. And John, a good exercise is for people to study the history of science fiction. The intelligence community learned after Roswell that by putting things into science fiction and putting into the genre of science fiction films, they could absolutely control the information of anything that might leak by just passing off, oh, that's just science fiction. Yeah, they just saw that in the movie. It was a brilliant mind control and population control mechanism for the flow of information.
If they hit us with everything that they can hit us with, they'll have their sound guns up, they'll have their heat shields up, they'll have shock troops all over the place. We won't get anywhere near them.
There's no difference in the power structure, the cult power structure behind the Nazis and their attempt at racial purity. Just understand now, in the elite, they want only their bloodline saved and everybody else died. The elite are ready to occupy their shelters because just like the movie 2012, they have a plan to escape what's coming. They're not going to talk to us about Comet Elenin. They're not going to talk to us about Planet X.